St. Paul's Cathedral is a stunning and iconic Anglican church located in the heart of Melbourne, Australia. This historic cathedral dates back to the 19th century and features Gothic Revival architecture, including beautiful stained glass windows, towering spires, and intricate stone carvings. St. Paul's Cathedral serves as a place of worship for the Anglican community and offers a range of religious services and events throughout the year. St. Paul's Cathedral is the cathedral church of the Diocese of Melbourne, the seat of the Archbishop of Melbourne, and the present seat of the Primate of Australia. It is located on the eastern corner of Swanston Street and Flinders Street. The history of St. Paul's Cathedral is almost as old as the foundation of the city of Melbourne. The location of the cathedral marks the place of the first Christian service held in Melbourne in 1835. Previous buildings on this site include a corn market and St. Paul's Parish Church. In March 1836, 6 months after the arrival of Fawkner and Batman, Dr. Alexander Thomson arrived from Launceston with his wife and child. He was commissioned to minister to the members of Batman's Land Association under the title of Surgeon Catechist. When he arrived, the whole land was before him. Melbourne then was a tent city, and like everyone else, Alexander Thomson pitched his tent under the shadow of a large gum tree at the banks of Yarra. The following Sunday, he read the Church of England service to a few settlers. The site of his tent and the scene of that service was the same spot where St. Paul's Cathedral was built later. The old St. Paul's was first built at the site of the gum tree, and for many years attracted a congregation of nearly 1,000 people. The site where the St. Paul's Cathedral now stands served as a corn market from 1836 to 1848. In 1848, it was granted to the Anglican Church to build a parish church. St. Paul's Church was consecrated in 1852 and was used until 1885, when it was demolished to make way for the present cathedral. On a portion of the site of the present cathedral, a parish church of St. Paul with school and parsonage was erected. By the 1850s, Melbourne changed from a settlement to a city, and the first bishop desired to build a cathedral worthy of the church and the city. The Cathedral Act, having been passed in 1869, it was decided by the Church Assembly of the Diocese of Melbourne in 1872 that a cathedral be erected. After Bishop Moorhouse arrived in Melbourne in 1877, the idea of having a cathedral was given serious thought. He said it should be a church for the rich and poor alike, and he asked the citizens of Melbourne to give him a church in which he could preach as a right. In 1877, William Butterfield, an eminent English architect, was commissioned to prepare plans. The church foundation stone, which weighed over 9 tons, was laid on the 13th of April 1880 by Lord Normanby, in the episcopate of Dr. Moorhouse. The architecture is decorative Gothic, and the external walls are of sandstone from the quarries of Barrabool and Warren Ponds. All the woodwork is in Tasmanian blackwood. The construction work continued for 11 years, and the cathedral was consecrated on the 22nd of January 1891. The construction of the 3 spires did not begin until 1926. The cathedral was without the towers, and the proposal of building the towers was taken up vigorously in view of the aesthetic appeal of the cathedral. A committee was appointed to appeal for funds, and in 1924 a competition for the design of the western towers and spires, as well as the centre spire, was won by Sydney architect James Barr. The beginning of the erection of the towers and spires began on the 18th of April 1926. The approximate cost of building the cathedral, the prime furniture, and the towers and spires cost around £234,045. The cathedral can hold about 1,500 people in ample comfort and 2,000 people without discomfort. Though the design was by the English architect, Mr. Walter Butterfield, the construction was carried out by Messrs. Reed and Stewart, architects of Melbourne, excepting the foundation, which were put in by contract. The first baptism in St. Paul's Cathedral took place on the 30th of January 1891 when Herbert, son of James and May Douglas of Burke Street, was christened by Reverend George Sutton. The first wedding was on the 1st of April 1891, when William Chisholm of Macquarie Street, Sydney, and Emma Isabel Mitchell were married off by Reverend George Oakley. The pipe organ was commissioned from the English builder T.C. Lewis, one of the most prominent organ builders of the 19th century. The organ, which cost £6,000 at the time of inception, is blown by 2 hydraulic engines. The first organist was Mr. Ernest Wood. Extensive renovation work was carried out on the exterior of the cathedral in the 1960s. The organ was restored in 1989. The cathedral is Victoria's most visited sacred place, with over 400,000 visitors a year. It remains a beautiful place of prayer and worship with a vibrant and diverse community of members from more than 25 nations.